Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that's Connor, and we are going to talk about Channel Zero, Season 1, Episode 3. It's called Want to See Something Cool. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. So we got a lot more. I feel like things are less abstract after this episode.
Yeah, we got a few more defined
Yeah,
things
obviously.
rather than just vagueness.
Yeah, there's obviously still some mystery and there's still stuff we don't know, but I feel like I have a better grasp of what's kind of going on. There's like a proper mission now. There's a proper villain,
Yeah,
perhaps, and there's more to it. So last week, Mike confessed to killing his brother, and we theorized that maybe Candle Cove had influenced all the different kids to kill someone close to them. Now I thought that was a good guess. I'm still quite proud of that guess.
solid from based on what we had,
Yeah.
solid guess.
However, what it turned out to be is that he killed his brother to stop him because he was killing the other kids. He was the one who actually killed everyone else. And from what we see in flashbacks, he kills them with like this weird telepathy power almost, where he can influence them and make them do things.
Yeah, it's like Minecraft. It's what it is kind of whatever's making them see Channel Zero in the first place.
Candle Cove.
Candle Cope, sorry. Jesus. Right, whatever's making them see that in the first place, because it's not physically on the TV, it's not physically on something.
Yeah,
Basically just went, yeah, well, I'll make you just see whatever, and then you can just walk off a cliff.
yeah. Um, so it was quite an effective scene actually when he makes the kid do that, and he makes the kid pull out two of his teeth first. Which, by the way, I just want to say, uh, pulling out teeth is a bit harder than that. That kid looked like he did that really easily.
You say that, but he's at the right sort of age where there could be a bad fallout anyway. They could have just been loose teeth.
They were all meant to be 11 though. I feel like my teeth were already out by that point.
Not necessarily.
Maybe. I'm pretty sure like by 9 or maybe even 8, my teeth were mostly, replaced.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so he pulls out some teeth and walks off a cliff, as you do. And this is like backstory we get throughout the episode. And this is why Mike killed him. He did this to stop him. Which is still dark, but it obviously makes Mike a lot more
It makes him the
sympathetic.
hero again,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah. Which the show's done a very good job of actually flipping him constantly. Like, do we trust him? Is he the good guy?
Yeah, because
We're
it starts with like, well, we're following him, so he must be.
yeah,
And then in the last episode, well, here, hang on, he killed a brother.
yeah.
And then I was
Even
like, oh,
even in episode 1, though, it was like at one point did he take the girl,
yeah,
but then
yeah,
he
yeah.
saved her. It was like okay, he didn't, and then it's been going back and forth with whether or not we should um, be
It
on his
has, and
side.
it's kind of impressive that I'm not bored of that either. Like that should have got old quickly.
Yeah, I think it's because it's playing so much with the eeriness of like what really happened.
Yeah,
And it's like the people around him are like doubting if it's him or not, so it's kind of like imposing onto us because I think the actual pacing of the show is actually very good. Like the way
mm.
it's getting to like like by the end of episode 2 they think he might have done it and he's been taken off by the sheriff. And by the end of this episode we've learned that he's not, and the sheriff's facing repercussions for what he's done because what he did was highly illegal. He took someone into custody as a sheriff and took him out to like an abandoned house and you know
Got him shot.
God, I'm sure it wasn't him. To be fair, he tried to stop that, but the other cop was a lot more hot-headed and
Yeah,
went too far. And I want to talk a little bit about his mother because I think his mother has a very interesting journey in this episode.
I was just about to bring up how she kind of has the similar arc to us.
Yeah, and it's funny because what I like about it is by the end of the episode when Amy, the other police officer who is now acting sheriff because she's the only one who didn't go off book, she like brings up the story again. Right, so you confessed to killing your brother, and Mike's mom jumps in and says, "No, that's a misunderstanding. That's not what was said," and she changes her story. And obviously, by this point, she's heard, the whole sort of backstory that Mike's now telling that his brother was killing kids and he was the one who stopped it. And maybe that's why Mike's special actually is because somehow he was the only kid who kind of broke the hold and wasn't like just mesmerized by
I think it's
Candlecove.
very telling that she believes him.
Yeah,
She believes that her other son was doing this.
Yeah, she obviously seen them acting weird because even Mike says you're going to notice the kids acting strange, which she did. We see that scene where she finds the kids stabbing this like medical.
Mannequin thing.
I think it was a mannequin. I think it was like from like a science lab, like when they're like studying
Yeah.
anatomy. It was one of those kind of things. And as we learned later, it was almost practice for when they actually do kill someone. They were like, because even though wasn't a real person, as a cop, she must have been thinking, why are four kids holding knives, like
Yeah, and then the way they all just run off, and
without saying anything? Yeah,
it is also interesting. It's not like it's just random kids. She addresses them by name.
yeah,
They
she
know
knows
her,
them.
and she
Yeah,
knows them, and then they just run off without saying anything. It's odd.
yeah, it's odd. It's creepy. It's disturbing. To
Yeah,
throw in synonyms of the same thing. It's all these things.
yeah,
And so at the end, when she changes her story, obviously by this point she's heard Mike's side of this and she's heard more of the story and why he did this. But what I like is even before that, when they're looking for him, because she realised she's expecting Mike to be at the station because she's told the sheriff this. So her and Amy and Gary's wife, Jessica, they're looking for him because they think something's wrong.
yeah,
And they piece it together because Jessica's a real estate agent and she notices the key for that house isn't there anymore. And they go out to the house, and what I love is that Mike's mom climbs up and sees that he's in this situation, and at this point in time, the other cop's got him down in the ground with his hand over his face so he can't scream, and is trying to reach for a boxcar. It's a really sort of horrific image of her son trying to be murdered. you
yeah.
know, and I like that when she runs in, even though at this point she's not heard the other story, she's not heard about the brother killing people, she's not heard any of the defense. The last time she's seen him, she sliced his hand with a knife and was terrified of him. But as soon as she sees him in this situation where he is a victim, where he's in this distress, she goes into mother mode and goes
Yeah.
straight to help him and protect him. And I think that was an interesting.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about who she is.
Yeah, it was a human instinct moment that
Yeah.
told us a lot about her. And our instincts obviously are right because at least as far as we know, because we're seeing flashbacks, so we know he's telling the truth.
To a degree.
To a degree, unless it's unreliable, unless we see that there's more to it or whatever. But
Yeah.
as far as we know right now, he seems to be telling the truth. I'm sorry, folks. There's something in my eye. If I'm
Yeah. It is one it could be unreliable because the way we're seeing the flash, at least in this episode, the way we're seeing the flashbacks is presented as him telling the story.
yeah, but it wasn't that the last couple though.
No, the last couple weren't, but I'm just questioning this particular part of the story.
Yeah, but I think maybe that's because it's become clearer to him. Because I feel like in the last two episodes, it was almost like he was getting brief glimpses and flashes of memories that he'd forgotten. As he was, around locations that he hadn't been in since a kid, and he was like, "Oh, this is the place where he broke my brother's fingers. This is where this happened," and he was getting these glimpses. And I feel like in this episode, it's him telling the story because, that's why he confessed last episode because he remembered everything.
Yeah.
And that's why now it's a case of, no, I'm telling this story, this is what happened. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here and say it's not unreliable because he now remembers, and that's why it's from that perspective now.
That makes sense.
But, so yeah, all that stuff was nice, good and tense with him, telling this, when he's saying his piece and they're listening to him and they're not really believing him. But even the sheriff's we should at least look into this other person that you've seen. Was it Jawbone? Is the name of the
Yeah, I think it was Jawbones.
yeah, who he's seen in person in costume, and we've seen that in episode 1 when we've seen him.
Yeah.
And we see more of the. It's actually very telling. The opening Candle Cove segment we see at the start of the episode. It's the Jawbones warning, or someone else warning the pirate kid to not open the box because you never know what might get out. And then later we see Jawbones chasing him, saying, "You let me out. You have to deal with it." So, in a very loose way, I think that's a case of now the box is opened, all hell's breaking loose kind of thing. Right. And even when the sheriff's driving Mike to the house at the start, and he explains the backstory of this house. This was a house that we wanted to buy. Someone else who was rich stepped in first, and we never got it. We never get the chance. And now it's on the market again, but it's too expensive. We're not going to get the chance. I thought that was an interesting little conversation, to have, because he didn't really need to explain this. It could have just been, oh, this, she's a real estate agent. This is one of her houses, and
it could have just been, I know there's no one at this house.
But he went into this backstory here and he talked about it, so I kind of read into that a little bit. And the way he spoke about it, it was almost as if, whatever, to put it in like a sort of broad spectrum, like maybe they feel trapped by these memories. The way this show affected them, the way the murders affected them. Like they have hopes and dreams of getting out of this town and going and doing other things. Or in this case, it's simply just moving to a new house, this nice house they wanted. But they're being held back with all these repressed memories and all this dark past.
It also made me think he's giving him the chance to explain in this case, but he's giving him a chance that they never got with the house.
Yeah.
So
no, it's so yeah, there's a lot to read into, but I think beyond that, obviously we have some more interesting stuff in terms of the overall plot. Last episode, the woman who turned out to be a teacher in this episode, she she straight up murders someone, and it's a fantastic scene. It's the woman who was with the sheriff and was one of the people accusing Mike of the murders. And when they flee, when Amy shows up to the house with Jessica and Mike's mum, she ends up at this teacher's house, and she offers her a drink, and she eventually slits her throat or stabs her throat with the hook. But what makes it no, don't get me wrong, the actual stabbing is great. It goes to this side view and there's blood spurting out. Fantastic. I'm a fan of that.
Sound.
The
sound of it is just perfect.
But none of that's what makes it. What makes it is her standing behind her still for 5 seconds or so before she does it. There's something wonderfully creepy about, the woman in front looking sort of down and not realising she's there, and her just standing there, and she's about to do something violent.
It's like she's contemplating, like, is now the right time? Yes, yeah. I think it is.
But it's just someone just standing there with the clear intent of, like, murder.
Yeah.
With them being unaware is just, like, really creepy, and it really, really worked.
Absolutely. Fantastic scene.
And she said you shouldn't mess with Mike. Like, he's important in some way to whatever she's doing. And she might be behind all of this.
She might well be, because she has the kids at her house.
She has the 4 kids who we then see murdered the other cop, the one who was a hothead who was going to kill Mike. He's dead, and she buries him in the woods after the kids have killed him. And she's given them cocoa. Presumably
because she thinks he might try and have another shot at Mike.
Possibly, yeah. And it's like, why is he important? Is he important because he can withstand the hallucination or the mind control or whatever you want to call it? The gaze that you go into when Camden Cove gets its hooks in you.
Or is there more to it?
See what I did there? Hooks.
I did. Yeah. Good.
Or is there more to it? And who is she? Why is she doing this? Someone asked in a comment in the last episode, actually, theories about her, and I said, maybe it's just as simple as that she's a witch and she's like sacrificing people to this tooth child, or the tooth child is her child that she's creating for evil purposes. It's hard to guess at this point. But speaking of the tooth child, there is some wonderfully creepy imagery in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
So early on, Mike has a dream where he's out in a field. And he parks the car, and he goes to sleep. But this is all a dream, actually. At least, it's presented as such. It's presented as such because he wakes up in the hospital. It could actually be a flashback, for all we know. Yeah. But he goes to sleep with the window open, and Tooth Child comes up and starts sucking on his fingers.
See, I thought it was... Here's where I'm going to go a little bit interesting, maybe. I thought it wasn't just sucking on the fingers. I thought it was eating the fingernails, because fingernails are the same material as teeth.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, like more or less, like the core of teeth is the same as fingernails.
But does Tooth Child consume that material? Because I was under the impression,
maybe they just like stuck them on.
Yeah, I thought he built his body out of the teeth rather than
I don't know.
ate them. But yeah, you could be right. I don't know. But it looked like sucking to me. But either way, creepy as hell.
Yeah.
Creepy as hell. But even better than that, though, is the ending. The final, or the second time this happens, we see him lying in bed at home. He's went home, he's bandaged up, and Tooth Child sneaks in the house, which feels really like, it's like, this is a big moment. Like, Tooth Child's in the house with him. And he goes up to the bed and he starts sucking on his fingers. But then it's his mum that gets up and walks through and sees it. And there's something just magical about her reaction. Like, because she does scream, and her scream is great. But, like, for a few seconds, there's like a moment of processing what the hell she's looking at.
Yeah, it's not an instantaneous scream.
because you have to process two things. You have to process. Well, yeah, actually, you have to process three things. One, there's someone in the house that shouldn't be there. Two, it's made of teeth. Three, it's sucking on my son's fingers.
Mm.
Like, all of it is just weird.
Do you know what I think is most interesting about this end scene, seeing as it's a dream?
It's
Or
not really the end scene. There's another thing after
yeah,
it,
yeah,
but
okay. Well, okay. You know, it's played as a dream
yeah,
like before,
yeah. It's the mum's dream this time. It's the mum's nightmare. She wakes up.
but it doesn't follow her perspective. Like the first time, we're with Mike in the car,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And we're next to him when the tooth child comes up. This we follow the tooth child until we get to the mum. It's like, but we're following her dream
Which
from somewhere
Yeah,
else.
which suggests that it's maybe a case of it is really happening, but there's some weird way, like in a psychosis level, that it covers it up by presenting it as a dream or something like that.
What if it's a shared dream? Because
Oh
obviously
yeah,
earlier in
yeah,
the episode, when they're interrogating Mike, they talk about
yeah.
dreams and how they've all had the same dreams of Jawbones.
Yeah, all the people who watch Candle Cove have these dreams and have still been having these dreams for years, even though they don't admit it to Mike, but he can see it in their faces.
The one woman does.
Oh, she admits it, yeah, sure, but
Yeah.
the other two don't. But even though you can kind of tell,
I wonder if it's actually all shared dreams and that's what's
maybe,
going on with this tooth child.
maybe. What, you think he's just part of the shared dream?
Yeah, he's part of the dream universe and maybe he's trying to
But how would
fix onto Mike.
wait, how does that work with the teacher? Because he went to her and she fed him teeth.
Yeah, I think she like going on the idea that maybe she's like a witch sort of thing.
Hmm.
She can kind of consciously access this dream world. She's like between the two worlds,
Okay.
and the tooth child can't fit like properly manifest in our world. That's why we only, other than when he's with her, we don't really see her as like the dream stuff and getting teeth. So maybe I don't know. Maybe he's trying to like become real
I don't know.
through Mike.
Maybe. I can see where you're going with that. I don't know if I buy it just because I think the first couple of episodes, whenever we've seen him, it didn't feel like it. Like, I can see why you think this because of this episode.
But even in those episodes, when we see him, it was like, why aren't the characters seeing him? For some, like when he comes out from behind the log,
Yeah.
and it's like, wouldn't you have noticed it was there? It's not that small.
No, I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like I see that in horror movies all the time, where they'll do this because it's creepy. Even
Yeah,
though it
that's
makes
true.
no sense that, you just have to buy that the thing is, like, Batman enough to not be noticed, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I took that. You could be right. I feel like there's definitely probably shared dream stuff going on, especially with the Candle Cove. Either if not shared, then they're all getting the same dream.
Mm.
Which, what's the difference between a shared dream and just getting the same dream?
I mean, there is a difference.
There is a difference, but I mean, you could argue, but it's like,
I'd say I think it's a pretty vital difference. A shared dream is
Well,
interacted by everyone.
well, it is, but we don't know if they're all interacting yet, though. That's what I'm saying. It could just be
Yeah.
they're all getting the same dream.
Yeah.
So we can't necessarily jump to shared yet until they actually
Yeah.
intermingle, if you will. But yeah, so that was wonderfully creepy stuff. And not creepy because of just the two child's creepy, but it's also just wonderfully absurd. Like just how weird it is that it's sucking on his fingers, like or biting his nails, whatever it is doing. Like it's just
I think this whole tooth child is such wonderful imagery because it's such a strange thing. It sticks out, like it's this white spiny looking thing, and it just looks off. Like it just doesn't look natural at all, even though it has like a human form. And I think that's what makes it so great, and the fact that it's white against all the darkness that you typically see it at plays it so well.
Yeah, especially when you see it, like, because at one point the cop who gets murdered by the kids, he sees the tooth child in the woods at night, and it looks really creepy because you can perfectly see it. It's clear as day, but because it's standing out against the darkness, it actually looks really good. It works really well, and of course the final time we see him in this episode is at the end when he's watching as the events play out. Now, the events, of course, are that Mike's daughter somehow appears outside of the house, even though she was meant to be in a different city with her mum.
Mm.
And as Mike, like, I mean, he says the exact questions I was thinking. It's like, why are you here, and how did you get here? Like,
And
you're
she
like,
looks like she has no memory of it.
yeah, you're like a 7-8 year old kid, and how are you here? Like, How did you get here? So obviously that'll be something we deal with next week. But wonderful mystery. But of course, the Tooth Child watching on clearly says that he's had something to do with it.
Yeah, that shot of it just in the window, because it's one of those things where you always get that shot of like the ghost in the window.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Tooth Child works better because it has such a solid form and stands out so instantly against the blackness.
Do you know what worked well with that shot as well? Is the building that he's in. I don't think it's actually their house. It looks like the house is like across the street or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. It felt like he was on the other side when the camera went over to him. It doesn't really matter, but the building he's in, he's standing in that window. The building's actually the same colour as him. It's that sort of like white, well, slightly darker than white, just a sort of mild cream kind of colour. And it's the same as him, but of course the room he's in is dark, so it's like the whole screen's practically the same colour as him, except the box that he's in.
Yeah.
And it looked really nice. And because it's that kind of... not all houses have this kind of material, but a lot of these houses you get in the countryside do, where it's the sort of the pointy, creamy, sort of concrete look, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact word is for that type of coating.
Some type of thing.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like, it's not just bricks, it's not just like a coloured wood or whatever. It's this specific type of like a pointy material, and it's very similar to him. It's like ultra similar to him.
Do you know what's the worst part?
Yeah.
House I used to live in used to have this material.
Oh, so, so did I. Like I
can't remember the name.
The house I grew up in had that as well. It's just, it's one of those things. It's just the wall. It's I mean, you don't really think about it, but someone will tell us in the comments and they'll tell us we're idiots, and that's fine. Let us know. Let us know what that's called. But like I say though, it's the exact same colour as him almost. So it's just the whole screen's pretty much taken up with that, and then this one box of darkness where he's in.
And I think the thing about those walls as well, it's not smooth. It's serrated like the teeth.
Yeah, exactly. It's pointy.
It's why it works so well.
Yeah. So no, it's almost like he's. It's almost like camouflage. It's like he's blending into the world.
Yeah, it's
almost,
like he's just an extension of the house at that point.
Yeah, I'm kind of accepting that, because that said, the other cop does see him in the woods. It looks like he does at least. But I do buy that maybe he has the choice of not being seen at times.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. We'll find out more. But give us some thoughts and feelings in the comments. What your theories are. But I think bringing Mike's daughter here, if nothing else, is to raise the stakes for him, because now his daughter might see Candle Cove, and now this is like, okay, my own child is now in danger of being part of this evil stuff.
Yeah, it's because obviously it was personal before because it was him.
Yeah,
but he wasn't in any. He didn't feel in danger particularly because he was worried about the kids. But they weren't his kids, so it's not personal in that sense.
Yeah, but now it's his kid, and I wonder if that's like an intentional thing. You know, if Tooth Child's working under the teacher, like if who, I don't know exactly who's in charge, but I think he seems to be taking orders from her, if you can even call it orders in a weird way. They have a cause that they're both working to. Like, you know, was there a decision made? Bring her here to make him vulnerable, or bring her here to make him this? You know.
Yeah.
You know. So. No, I'm interested to hear how that plays out, but we're halfway through the show. It's got a nice brisk pace. So let us know what you thought in the comments of this episode. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Helps us out a lot. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.